Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop to think that the answer to, well, one of our biggest health battles might be tiny, like incredibly microscopic? Today, we're diving deep into something truly groundbreaking. It's where nanotechnology meets the fight against cancer.
Yeah, we're talking about nanobots, our mission today, to really unpack how these microscopic machines aren't just a future dream, but are actually showing us a way to make cancer treatment, better,
Yeah.
more effective, way less damaging, maybe even preventative down the line. So get ready, because we're going to explore the amazing ingenuity behind these tiny warriors that are starting to revolutionize how we tackle cancer.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be talking about this. The research we've looked at, it details advancements that are honestly a true paradigm shift. We're not just talking small improvements here. These are genuinely innovative strategies, revealing some surprising things about these cancer-fighting nanobots. And they're already showing incredible success, at least in preclinical work. It feels like we're stepping out of science fiction, and
Right.
into, well, an emerging medical reality. Definitely feels that way. And as exciting as that future is, I think it's really important we ground ourselves first in the why. Why is this innovation so needed? Most people listening probably have some sense of the incredibly tough road cancer patients face with traditional treatments. Can you maybe highlight some of those big hurdles, the things these nanobots are designed to beat?
Oh, absolutely. Those challenges are huge, and they're exactly why we need something better.
Mm,
First off, there's the big problem of systemic damage.
mm,
Think about conventional therapies like chemo, radiation. They're powerful, yes, but they're kind of like, well, a sledgehammer. They hit the cancer cells, sure, but they also hit healthy cells all of the body.
right. Collateral damage.
Exactly. And that leads directly to those really severe, debilitating side effects we all know about. The intense fatigue, the hair loss, nausea, and crucially, suppressing the immune system. It just takes a massive toll on a patient's quality of life. Sometimes it even limits whether they can continue the treatment. And then, beyond the side effects, we're constantly fighting what's called treatment resistance. Cancer cells are smart. They're incredibly adaptable. They mutate, they evolve, and tumors themselves are usually heterogeneous, meaning, not all of the cancer cells inside are identical.
So one drug might not hit all of them.
Precisely. That variation often limits how well a single therapy works. You might see a good initial response, but then the resistant cells take over, the disease progresses. Ultimately, the therapy fails.
So it sounds like the core issue, the thing that links these problems, is a lack of specificity. Like we're using a scattergun when we need a laser.
That's a great way to put it. That's exactly the core problem. What really stands out from all this is the urgent need for tools that are just incredibly precise. We need something that can sign the cancer cells, know they're different from healthy cells, and then act only on them, sparing all the healthy tissue, like you said, a laser or maybe a microscopic surgeon's scalpel, something far beyond what our current tools can manage.
Okay. And that urgent need for precision, that's the perfect lead-in to these tiny warriors. Let's finally unpack this term, nanobots. It still sounds a bit sci-fi, doesn't it? What exactly are they?
Yeah, it does. But the reality is surprisingly close now. Nanobots are basically autonomous or semi-autonomous machines,
Yeah.
and they are mind-bogglingly small. We're talking 1 to 100 nanometers. To give you a sense of scale, picture a single human hair. Now imagine slicing it lengthwise, maybe 100,000 times. That's the kind of scale we're operating on.
Wow, that's hard to even imagine.
It is. And these tiny devices are engineered very precisely to do specific medical jobs inside the body. Their real magic lies in their targeted navigation. Think of them maybe as microscopic guided missiles or tiny delivery drones. They can navigate the bloodstream, get through tissues with incredible precision. They aren't just floating around randomly. They're designed or guided to find specific targets. That could mean delivering a drug right into a cancer cell, performing diagnostics on a cellular level, or even, physically destroying the cancer cell right there,
Oh.
all while aiming to leave healthy cells alone.
Okay, so machines thousands of times smaller than a hair. Yeah, mind-bending. But what makes being that small so revolutionary? You mentioned dramatically reduced side effects, this enhanced safety. How do they achieve that?
Well, it's revolutionary because that tiny size lets them interact with the body at the same scale as biology itself, at the level of cells and molecules. This allows for unprecedented specificity, and that enhanced safety. It flows directly from that precision. By delivering the treatment only where it's needed, nanobots basically eliminate, or at least drastically reduce, that collateral damage to healthy cells. That's what causes the awful systemic toxicity of older therapies. So it's a fundamental shift, really, from a kind of carpet bombing approach to a highly targeted surgical strike at the micro level.
That really does sound like a new era. Okay, let's get into the specifics. This first breakthrough you mentioned from OHSU researchers, they developed a kind of one-two punch approach. How does that work?
Yeah, this OHSU work is a fantastic example of really clever nanoengineering.
Yeah.
They designed these specialized nanoparticles, and inside these nanoparticles are microscopic bubbles, the really smart part. These bubbles are specifically designed to react to focused ultrasound energy.
Ultrasound, like for imaging?
Kind of, but used differently here. It's focused, high-intensity ultrasound directed right at the tumor. And it triggers a dual action mechanism, which is what makes it so potent. When that focused ultrasound hits the nanoparticles, it does two things almost simultaneously. First, the collapsing bubbles physically disrupt and destroy some of the tumor tissue, like tiny explosions. And second, that disruption helps deliver the chemotherapy drug, which is also carried by the nanoparticle directly inside the remaining cancer cells. So you get physical destruction and targeted drug delivery all in one go, right where you want it.
A double whammy.
Exactly. And what's really crucial for making this practical is the energy efficiency.
Mm.
Their approach uses up to 100 times less ultrasound energy compared to some other methods being explored. That's huge. It means much less risk of damaging healthy tissue around the tumor. It's safer, more precise, and honestly, it's what makes this potentially viable for actual patients, not just a lab trick.
And the results they saw in the lab, in mouse models of melanoma, they sound pretty staggering. The research mentioned 100% complete tumor disappearance.
Yeah, the preclinical results were remarkable. 100% elimination in those models. Not just shrinking, but gone. They also saw significantly improved survival, beyond 60 days, with no major side effects reported. And this is key. A 0% recurrence rate in that time frame.
Zero recurrence. That's huge.
It really is. It suggests these nanobots might be able to get rid of those stubborn residual cancer cells that often survive traditional treatments and lead to relapse. That's potentially game-changing.
Okay, so ultrasound activation is one really promising route, but nanotechnology is versatile, right? There isn't just one way to build a nanobot. You mentioned another team from the Japan Advanced Institute taking a totally different tack. What's their approach?
Right, it highlights the flexibility here. This Japanese team uses something called magnetic carbon nanohorn nanoparticles. Catchy name, I know. But the key is the magnetic navigation. These specific nanoparticles are magnetic. So you can use external magnetic fields, think like a targeted MRI field, but for steering to guide them through the body.
So you can literally steer them to the tumor.
Precisely. You guide these tiny therapeutic magnets right to the tumor site, even deep inside the body, with a level of control you just can't get otherwise. Then, once they're in position, phase 2 kicks in, thermal activation. They use near-infrared lasers. NIR light is good because it can penetrate tissues relatively deeply without causing much harm itself. But when this light hits the nanohorns that are clustered in the tumor, they heat up. Exactly. They absorb the light and generate very localized heat. Intense heat, but only right where the nanoparticles are. This essentially cooks the cancer cells from the inside out, destroying them thermally while sparing the surrounding healthy tissue that doesn't have the nanoparticles. It's like microscopic hyperthermia treatment.
Wow, targeted heat destruction. And how did that perform in their tests?
Very well, actually. Similar to the OHSU findings, really. Their mouse models also showed complete success. Total tumor elimination, and again, importantly, no recurrence observed after they did multiple treatment cycles. It just really underscores how versatile this nanotech platform is. You can use sound, you can use magnets and heat, different tools for potentially different types of cancers or locations.
These lab results are just phenomenal, but, the big question always is, how do we get this from the lab bench to the bedside? It's one thing to make a small batch for mice, quite another to produce enough reliably and safely for potentially millions of people. The research touched on manufacturing, right? How are we tackling that massive hurdle?
Yeah, that's absolutely critical and often overlooked. If you can't scale it up, it stays a fascinating experiment. Thankfully, there's been significant progress there, too. Researchers at MIT, for example, pioneered what's called laboratory development using microfluidic devices. These are basically tiny chips with microscopic channels etched into them. They allow for very precise control over fluid flow at the microscale. And they've used these to essentially mass-produce polymer-coated nanoparticles.
Like a tiny assembly line.
Kind of, yeah. It allows for continuous production with really consistent quality and uniformity. Every nanoparticle is virtually identical. That's crucial for medicine. You need reliability, predictability in every single dose. And just as important, these manufacturing processes are being designed from the ground up to meet the very stringent FDA standards.
Hmm.
We're talking about the rigorous requirements for pharmaceutical production, safety, purity, sterility, all of that. Addressing these regulatory hurdles early on is absolutely vital for actually translating these therapies into clinical use.
Okay, so we're not just talking about brilliant science anymore. This focus on scalable, FDA-compliant manufacturing. That feels like a huge step. It means this isn't just a theoretical possibility, it's becoming a practical pathway towards making these advanced nanobot therapies genuinely accessible, doesn't it? Potentially for patients everywhere.
Exactly. That transition from bespoke lab work to potentially industrial scale, quality controlled production is kind of the unsung hero here. It's what could bridge the gap and actually revolutionize access to this level of advanced cancer care globally.
Now, we know cancer is tricky. It has all these defense mechanisms, ways to resist treatment. You mentioned drug resistance earlier. How do nanobots actually overcome those defenses, like those efflux pumps you talked about?
That's where the smarts of these systems really come into play. And it connects back to that issue of treatment resistance. Nanobots are proving really good at barrier penetration. Those drug efflux pumps you mentioned, they're like tiny bouncers on the surface of cancer cells that literally pump chemotherapy drugs back out after they get in. Nanobots, because of their design and how they deliver the payload, can often bypass these pumps.
Sneak the drugs past the bouncers?
Sort of, yeah, or overwhelm them. They also seem better at navigating the complex, dense environment around a tumor, the tumor microenvironment, which can physically block larger drug molecules. So they get the treatment to the cells and keep it inside them more effectively. And another powerful advantage is multi-drug delivery. Many nanocarriers aren't limited to just one type of drug. They can be engineered to carry multiple therapeutic agents simultaneously, or even deliver gene therapies alongside drugs. This opens the door to truly personalized combination therapies tailored to an individual's specific tumor mutations. Hit the cancer with multiple punches at once.
Which makes it harder for the cancer to develop resistance.
Yeah, exactly. And taking that even further, we're seeing the development of adaptive treatment systems. Imagine nanobots. They could potentially sense the tumor environment or the patient's response and then adapt their strategy, maybe release different drugs or change the timing. This could significantly boost effectiveness and really get ahead of drug resistance as it tries to emerge. It's like having a therapy that learns and responds.
A therapy that learns. That's incredible. And the research hints at something even more powerful on the horizon, combining nanobots with immunotherapy. That seems like a huge step. How does that work?
That's really the cutting edge and incredibly promising. We're seeing emerging research successfully integrating nanobots with therapies designed to activate the patient's own immune system. Nanobot integration, you could call it. So the nanobots might deliver the tumor-killing payload, but also carry substances that alert and activate immune cells right there at the tumor site. And it goes beyond just killing the existing tumor. Some approaches aim for immune training. The idea is that by killing the tumor cells in a certain way and presenting the debris to the immune system alongside these activating signals, you effectively train the patient's immune system to recognize that specific cancer. So it learns to hunt down any remaining cancer cells and potentially prevent the cancer from ever coming back, almost like a personalized cancer vaccine created in real time.
Wow. So it's not just treatment, it's teaching the body to defend itself long term?
Precisely. This really represents that paradigm shift we mentioned earlier. We're moving towards these multifunctional, highly precise cancer treatment platforms. They can target, destroy, deliver multiple therapies, adapt, and engage the immune system. It's a level of capability we just haven't had before.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for, for someone listening to this, maybe facing cancer themselves or knowing someone who is? What's the takeaway message here?
I think the biggest takeaway is hope, grounded in real science. It means a revolution in cancer care isn't just some far-off dream anymore. It feels genuinely within reach. We're seeing it move closer to the clinic.
Yeah, the research we've discussed today really underscores the promise of nanobots. They offer the potential for treatments that are highly targeted, much more effective, and critically, significantly safer than what we've often had available. These recent breakthroughs, they're not just theoretical. They show genuine potential to fundamentally change patient outcomes, improve survival rates, and hopefully improve quality of life during treatment, too. It really does feel like a new era is dawning, driven by this incredible microscopic ingenuity.
It truly does. It's ongoing innovation and, crucially, the focus on making it manufacturable and clinically translatable. It feels like it could unlock an entirely new chapter in precision oncology. We really do seem to be standing on the edge of potentially defeating cancer, or at least transforming it into a much more manageable condition using the power of nanotechnology. It's a collective effort, a mission with just profound implications.
Absolutely. And maybe just to leave our listeners with something to think about is we get better and better at harnessing the power of the nanoscale to tackle something as complex as cancer. It really raises a fascinating question, doesn't it? How else might we apply this kind of precision medicine? Not just in cancer, but across, well, potentially all areas of human health. Where else could tiny machines make a huge difference? The possibilities, they really do feel almost limitless right now.